Every day is a battle because your mind wants to choose the path of least resistance. Every day. But you don't become better by ever doing that. You become normal. And I don't want to be normal.
You write in the book, there is no faith and no courage and no sacrifice in doing what is expedient. What do you say to those viewers that don't pursue their dreams and are locked in their careers because they are too afraid to take risks and pursue something meaningful?
Well, the first thing I would say is, well, you should be afraid of taking risks and pursuing something meaningful. But you should be more afraid of staying where you are if it's making you miserable.
There are days you're not going to want to do it, sure. And everybody has those days. But it's what you do on those days that help you move forward.
It's what you do right now that makes a difference.
Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. So no matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. That's not motivation. If you only did what you were supposed to do when you were motivated to do it, that's leaving it to chance. But if you're disciplined, you go do what you're supposed to do.
You can't have an easy life in a great character. Having stuff isn't fun. Getting stuff is fun.
Fierce debate has overtaken the country as to whether America's work ethic is dying.
Most people who claim to be perfectionists are not perfectionists. They're actually procrastinating because they're not doing anything. Correct. And so it just is a socially acceptable label because the real perfectionists feel this sickness where they like want to itch their skin off until the thing's done, but they are trying to get it done.
You got to be kind of content with doing the exact same thing, basically, day after day after day, and making reasonable progress. The more impatient somebody is, this isn't rocket science, the less likely it is that they're going to stick to something for a long time. And like 99% of any cool shit that anybody does ever usually takes a lot of preparation and practice and just repetitive action to get good at. How many people would watch a Conor McGregor fight if in order to watch the fight, they had to watch the thousands of hours of training that he had to do to work up to that level?
Everything is hard before it's easy. And everything at the beginning is difficult, but later it becomes easy and automatic. You have to force yourself to discipline yourself at the beginning, but after that, it becomes easier, and you actually feel happy.
Promise yourself that you will always give it everything you got. We put limitations on ourselves as humans. We think that 10 or 15 is enough. There's more in you. There's always more in you.
The problem is that the bigger the mountain you're trying to climb, the bigger the W you're trying to get, typically the more delayed it is between when you start behaving like a winner and when you start being a winner.
You should push yourself beyond your limits of tolerance in your 20s to find out where it is. How much can you work? How disciplined can you become? Like, can you work 12 hours a day? Can you work 8 hours a day? Can you work 3 hours a day? Like, flat out. Where's your limit? You should find out. Push yourself past and then back off to that point where it's optimally sustainable.
Get serious. And you must get serious about two very important things. Number one is setting your goals and where you want to go. Designing the next 5, the next 10 years is so vitally important. Then you have to get serious about another important subject, personal development. 10 years from now, you will surely become someone. The big question is, who? 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. And the question is, where? So to answer the question of where you want to arrive and the kind of person you want to be, you've got to get serious.
How you gain mental toughness, how you become the person you want to be, is constantly facing the things that you don't want to face. If you constantly run away from things that you don't want to face, how is there growth?
If you don't see results in the first 2 days or the first week, I'm done. That's the mentality of most people. The struggle is too real. We're not patient. In a world where you can Google the best restaurants around me right now, no one is patient. And for you to lose weight, for you to stop drinking, whatever the hell you're going through, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and a lot of pitfalls, a lot of plateaus.
Beware of what you become in pursuit of what you want. I got so obsessed with some things that I found out later the price was too big to pay. If I would have known better, I never would have paid. But sometimes we learn when? After. So don't become so obsessed with something that you lose your sense of reason or it costs you your friends.
The most important question to ask is, what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Anything worthwhile is going to require some degree of pain and struggle. So, if you're oriented toward the pain and the struggle, you're probably going to be more aligned with what you're capable of accomplishing rather than if you just orient toward the pleasures.
Those are key concepts in life. And even if you're not where you want to be in life and you're grinding and you're on that hustle.
And there's a lot of people like that.
I get it. Keep grinding, but also appreciate it. Appreciate that hustle. Appreciate this thing. Appreciate this fucking beautiful, chaotic, unknown existence you're in.
The thing we call life.
You almost have to be insane a little bit to have such blind faith in something that you can't see.
How many people on this planet are willing to wake up every single day and go to the gym or to the trail and put themselves through consistent and constant adversity without immediate results? I'd say probably less than 5% of people are willing to do that. See, the truth is, when you take up running or you take up going to the gym and working out, you're not going to see results immediately. And so what working out and what fitness does is it teaches you delayed gratification.
I've never met a person who was not successful that didn't have a great amount of self-discipline within their life. Self-discipline and being able to perform and being able to keep your life on schedule and being able to keep commitments and promises and meet deadlines is essential to success.
One of the most important things that we need to teach young men is delayed gratification. If you just eat what you want to eat, smoke what you want to smoke, drink what you want to drink, and sleep with who you want to sleep with, you're going to ruin generations. Our culture does not teach delayed gratification. You don't need to save, just go into debt. You don't need to wait to be married, just move in and sleep together. You don't need to practice self-control. You just drink and eat whatever you want.
Did you know that only 1% of people are naturally, extraordinarily gifted at something? Think genius, think savant. Do you know what that means for us, the other 99+% of people? If we're going to do anything great in this life, it is going to require discipline.
And so what this young generation needs to learn is patience. That some things that really, really matter, like job fulfillment, joy, love of life, self-confidence, a skill set, any of these things, all of these things take time. Overcome the need to have instant gratification and teach them the joys and impact and the fulfillment you get from working hard on something for a long time that cannot be done in a month or even in a year.
So when you're obsessed with something, it doesn't require discipline because you can't wait to do it again. Mike Tyson said best, he said, discipline is doing something you hate but doing it like you love it.
Most people don't get the fast enough feedback loop to know that they're on the right path. It happens slower than you expect and then faster than you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part that everyone misses, is they expect the faster than they can imagine, and they imagine really big. And so then their expectations are really big, really fast, but they take the intensity and they don't apply it to a timeline that's appropriate. What has worked so well for me and why the input over the output focus has been so powerful is that I can extend the time horizon basically indefinitely, because the goal is me and then the external goals occur.
See, before I understood, when it was winter, I used to wish it was summer. I didn't understand. When it was hard, I used to wish it was easy. I didn't know. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Now here's the key to discipline. Start with the little disciplines, get excited over the little disciplines, and get right on those, because those will lead to the big ones.
If I'm eating food, I'll save the best for last. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'll eat around it to the one part that I really want to eat. I'm gonna save that. I'm a delayed, you know what I'm saying, gratification. I'm that type of person. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm literally like, all right, I will party later. I work hard now, so the second half of my life, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Mm-hmm. That's been my mentality. It's like, I'm not going to trick off my early years for partying and then worry about struggling, how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to take care of my family, how I'm going to take care of everybody else. Like, that's not going to be me. I'm going to grind it out now. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to set up the foundation so I can enjoy myself later. That's always been my mentality, and that works for me.
The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Go for the discipline because it weighs ounces. The regret weighs tons because it can accumulate.
Ability to delay pleasure is a sign of maturity. That's what grown-ups do. Children do what feels good. YOLO. You only live once, quick. Instead of like, I'm gonna sacrifice to get a greater outcome. I'm gonna live like no one else so that later I can live and give like no one else. I've got to have the moment at this moment. That is a childish expression of any area of your life. It will destroy your marriage. It will raise horrible children. It'll mess up your career, and it certainly will mess up your money. Short-term thinking. The get rich quick has never worked at any time in the world as an ongoing, provable, sustainable process. So we got to stick with this idea, and that even includes our generosity. We were starting to talk about generosity, and the generosity with these folks, with these millionaires that we studied, is a steady thing, like their savings is a steady thing. They're not trying to have this one big event that says, look at me, how generous I am. Instead, they're fairly quiet about it, almost absurdly quiet and anonymous about it, and they steadily give in to something that they believe in.
Most people are weak. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it but still do it.
And almost every successful person that I have ever encountered has gone through not a month or a year, but many years of doing work without reward, where they have to do things that other people find boring, and they have to sacrifice things that everyone finds interesting, that most people want to do during that entire season of their life. And they basically sacrifice a season of other things that they would prefer to do stuff that they would not prefer to do because of the one thing they want most. That's the Rocky cutscene. And instead of lasting 5 minutes, it just usually lasts 5 or 10 years.
If the idea of discipline, of consistently doing an action, is only associated with pain, with tedium, being by yourself in a room, doing one thing over and over and over, you're never going to get over the mountain because it's associated with too much pain, and the brain naturally shrinks from anything that's painful. So there has to be pleasure involved. Discipline has to have an element of pleasure. Consistently doing your work has to have rewards. Reward is the key word here. So if you never feel direct, pleasurable sensation from what discipline is giving you, then it's never going to work.
Once you've mastered the ability to delay gratification, the ability to discipline yourself to keep your attention focused on the most important task in front of you, there's virtually no goal that you cannot accomplish and no task that you cannot complete.
I think that a lot of people don't actually look at themselves in the mirror and say, like, 1 year from today, will I remember this football game? Or will I remember the fact that I'm not where I said I wanted to be? And to me, that was significantly more painful. Now, this is an uncomfortable fact for a lot of people. Your ability to delay gratification is actually a function of intelligence. And so your ability to learn at a longer and longer delay, the sign of intelligence is that you can actually expand the reinforcement window and they can still abstract it back to the original action.
And I'm obsessed with being the best version of myself. And that's a daily thing, and some days are better than others. I'm obsessed with finding myself now after and not having to prove anything to anybody other than myself and my family.
If you're talking about beating everybody else on the planet to a thing, what you're actually talking about is what are you prepared to sacrifice psychologically, physically, existentially, relationally, socially, in terms of your self-esteem, your confidence, everything.
I was trying to figure out why there's some areas in my life where I'm disciplined and other areas of my life where I seem to lack discipline. And I came up with this discipline equation that I'd love to interrogate with you. Discipline equals the importance of the goal. How much does that goal matter to you? Plus the psychological enjoyment you get in the pursuit of the goal, right? So as you pursue the goal, how psychologically enjoyable and reinforcing is that for you? Minus the psychological cost of the pursuit of the goal.
My favorite Chinese proverb is everything must be hard before it can be easy. I think it's amazing what you can endure when you have no choice. Because at the end of the day, life is hard, but believing it should be easy makes it even harder.
You want to know where discipline comes from? It comes from telling yourself the truth about where you are, about what is going on in your life. You can lie to yourself and then you don't need discipline. You can tell yourself everything's okay and then you don't need discipline. You can lie to yourself and say that you're winning and then you don't need discipline. But if you tell yourself the truth, if you tell yourself the truth that you know you could be better, you know you could do more, if you tell yourself the truth, you won't have to find discipline. Discipline will find you.
Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. Working a 9 to 5 until you're 65 years old, it's hard. Starting a business is hard. Choose your hard. A careless life without God is hard. A life dedicated to God is hard. Choose your hard. You see, life is never easy. It's hard by nature. And the only thing you have to do is choose your hard.
If you're prepared to give up comfort for something more, then you're already closer to achieving your dreams than you realize. Embracing sacrifice doesn't happen overnight. It's a habit, a mindset that takes time to build. You have to train yourself to see discomfort as part of the journey. Like an athlete trains their body, you have to train your mind to push through obstacles. Each time you push yourself a little further. Each time you choose discipline over convenience, you're building resilience.
People do not change until they realize that the pain of staying the same is way worse than the pain of change. Because life is either easy now and hard later, or hard now and easy later. Everything in life has consequences. Choosing easy now and sitting on your phone and scrolling instead of working out means you might lack mobility, you might not be able to walk as well later on down the road. Easy now and hard later. Choosing fast food over making a healthy meal today means easy now, hard later. But the consequences of that easy now might be a heart attack later on down the road. Getting up and taking action towards a better you is always harder now.
I have good news. Nothing hard lasts forever. There's only 3 things that can happen. You either quit, it gets easier, or you get better. So no matter what, it always ends. You only lose when you quit before you see it all the way through. And I think that's incredibly encouraging. So no matter how hard whatever it is that you're doing is, which by the way just means that your expectation doesn't match reality, but no matter how hard it is, you either quit, it gets easier because something changes externally, or you get harder, something changes internally. But no matter what, it will end.
Wouldn't you want to know what would happen if you spent just 1 year giving it your absolute all? You gave your diet your absolute all. You gave your fitness regimen your absolute all. You gave your work your absolute all. How drastically would your life change in just 1 year? 1 year of uninterrupted focus. I bet your life would change drastically. I bet you'd be a completely different person. I bet you'd be completely unrecognizable. I bet you would look back and be like, I can't believe I was living the way I was. Time is going to pass anyway. The next year of your life is going to happen regardless of what you do. So why don't you spend that year giving it your absolute all and just see what happens? If you do that, I guarantee you will look back 1 year from today and say, that was the best decision I have ever made.
The human body and the human mind and the human spirit and the human emotions are developed stronger, more resilient, more capable each time you deal with stress, trauma, adversity, setbacks, failure, loss, sadness. And so if you can actually develop this muscle of embracing adversity, hardship, sadness, and realizing that it serves as a purpose, it serves as resistance to build your mental, emotional muscles, then you go, holy hell, this is an opportunity for me.
If you literally boil success down in any field, it's just the ability to
endure short-term discomfort for long-term achievement. Whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to have a good marriage, or whether you want to have a six-pack, whether you want to make money, it's like you have to be willing to endure short-term sacrifice for a long-term achievement.
No one's good at everything. I mean, that's just not the way life works. We're all talented at certain things, but we can really continue to improve our weaknesses if we're humble enough to identify them, and we can build on our strengths. And I think we're all trying to find a more well-rounded aspect to ourselves, but a lot of that has to come with this understanding about yourself that what you know is very limited and what you don't know is limitless.
The marshmallow experiment took place in the late 60s, where Walter Mischel was a psychologist at Stanford out in Palo Alto. He would come in and sit down on one side of a table, and there was a kid on the other side of the table, between 4 and 8 years old. And in front of the kid was a marshmallow. So he says to the kid, "Do you want the marshmallow?" The kid's like, "Yeah." He says, "I tell you what, I have to go take a phone call in the back here. But when I come back, if the marshmallow's still there, I'll give you another one. Can you wait?" Every kid's like, "Yeah, totally worth it." He comes back 5 minutes later or so. 80% of the kids had eaten the marshmallow. 20% of the kids hadn't. Now that's a lot. 80% of the kids could not defer the gratification. So the real question is, who's the 20%? These are the people that went on to do distinguished things. They did better in school. They got better grades. They went on to have more job success. They had better relationships.
To create something big and lasting, it's going to take time. It's going to entail some pain, some sacrifice. And what you need to do is you need to change your whole assessment of what is pleasurable. What is pleasurable is actually accomplishing something that you set out to actually reach your goals, to actually take the time to make something that's meaningful to you. I can tell you personally that fulfillment that I get from writing a book, even though it takes a lot of painstaking and tedious hours of work, is a feeling that is so superior in pleasure to anything else in life. It's like I could die tomorrow and it's okay. I did what I wanted to do. I said what I wanted to do. I felt like I helped people and I worked on it and I gave it everything I had. That is a much deeper form of pleasure. And I want you to reorient your sense of pleasure to these longer term goals and not to these shorter term goals.
You start going to the gym, you feel weak in order to become strong. You go to the library, you read, you don't understand, you feel stupid in order to become smart. The process of discomfort is inevitable. You have to go through it. Most people have that initial feeling, that initial lack of self-belief, because they don't understand that they have to be humbled first in every aspect in order to grow. So you go to the gym, you feel like shit, that's a good thing. It just shows you that you need to improve. Most people go to the gym, feel like shit, never go back. Put on an oversized t-shirt. Problem covered. No, it's not the problem, it's not covered. You need to go through that parallel problem, you solve it, and then you get the reward. Every aspect of life has it.
You are going to pay a price. Now, whether you pay that price now or whether you pay that price later, that price is going to be paid. Paying the price now means doing what you need to do right now to build that version of yourself that's going to create the life that you desire in the future. And there's a reward for paying that price up front. And then there's people who choose to pay it later. Those are people who say, I'm in my 20s. My 20s should be spent having fun. And those people pay a price that they pay it later. Right now they're having fun. Right now they're carefree, but they're destroying their future. And
So choose wisely.
But the most powerful part of Think and Grow Rich, man, is he has this part, he says, can you survive the temporary? And if you can survive the temporary, he says, on the other side of temporary pain, you get introduced to your other self. And that other self, he doesn't say this, but that other self produces that other life.
If you concentrate solely on your career, you can get a long way in your career. And I would say that that's a strategy that a minority of men preferentially do. That's all they do. They work like 70, 80 hours a week. They go flat out on their career. They're staking everything on the small probability of exceptional status in a narrow domain. But it's hard on them. They don't have a life. It's very difficult for them to have a family. They don't know how to take any leisure activity. Like, they get very one-dimensional. And that's how you get to beat all the other people who are doing that. It's the only way. But the problem is you don't get a life.